Yes, now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Thomas Rants YouTube channel. Let's talk Friday Night SmackDown. And again, I think quite a good one. I mean, this week, Monday Night Raw did up their game slightly. So, I don't know if I would say it was better than Monday Night Raw, but it was certainly up there and consistent with how good SmackDown has been. So, we opened up the show with Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu just absolutely brawling the shit out of each other. They've scrapped being creative. They just thought, fuck it, these guys have been feuding for that long. We're just going to have them beat the shit out of each other. And they kept doing it throughout the whole show. Like, middle segments in between the show where Tama Tonga was talking to Solo Sikoa. There they were again, scrapping. To close the show, the very last thing we saw was them two fighting in the parking lot on a high structure, which they were very obviously going to fall off of. And we could not see over the fence to what they were falling onto. Could have just been the solid ground for all we know. Bit silly if you ask me. Like, I think it would be cooler if we actually saw what they were falling onto. Just seeing them fall, it's just a bit like, it's a bit lazy, you know. It's kind of just like, oh, they've done a big dramatic fall, but we're not going to tell you what it is, you know. I wasn't a fan of that, but both had a big dramatic fall. They might not show up for weeks. This is probably just leading to a big, massive, like, Hell in a Cell, street fight, last man standing type stipulation at WrestleMania. I'll be honest, I'm not interested. Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre has been going on for way too long. Way too long. And to be honest with you, I want to see Drew McIntyre and Nicholls at WrestleMania. I think that's a much more interesting story. I think it's a more interesting attraction to see Nicholls get into the ring in a WrestleMania. That would be a perfect place to do it. Do you know what I mean? And you can tell Nicholls wants that as well. And not that I don't like Jacob Fatu. I think Jacob Fatu's great, and they definitely need to utilize him for WrestleMania. But give it a rest with the Drew McIntyre storyline. Do something different. They should have followed up on what they were doing with Sami Zayn or something. Do you know what I mean? But it is what it is. And talking of Sami Zayn, I'm quite confused as to what the direction is for him for Mania, because I thought it would have been Aleister Black, because Aleister Black has kind of been trying to get into his head, trying to get him to change into a bit more heelish, you know. The same thing he did with Randy Orton, you know, just kind of like getting into his head, because Sami's been questioning everybody, including himself, and then just lashing out and just completely baffled by who he is. And Aleister Black is like just prodding the bear. Aleister Black, he's adding gas to the flame, you know what I mean? So I thought he would have kind of turned Sami into someone else. They would have had a match at Mania, and they would have put on a heater at Mania. And I thought that would have led to a heel Sami Zayn, a new storyline, but no. Sami Zayn and Aleister Black had their match on SmackDown, because I think the direction they're going for WrestleMania is to have Sami versus Trick Williams. Now, I'm all for Trick Williams. The guy is over. The entrance is... it's beautiful, and he deserves to be on Mania, right? I just think Sami and Aleister makes more sense. I do think they have more potential, especially when you're talking about WrestleMania being the sleeper Mania. You're talking about it being from bell to bell one of the best Manias ever, right, in terms of match quality. Well, Sami Zayn and Aleister Black would deliver that. Trick Williams is incredible in the ring, but with someone like Sami Zayn, I'm not sure how that chemistry is going to make necessarily a banger of a match. They very well could, but I just put more faith in Aleister Black and Sami doing that. But it looks like Trick Williams and Sami Zayn's going to be that one, because they keep feuding with each other. They keep, you know, irritating each other every week. And Trick Williams was sat ringside while Sami had that match with Aleister Black. And they kind of had a bit of a stare-off moment, because Trick was taking up all the crowd noise, you know, just soaking it in, distracting Sami Zayn. And then he splashed him with water. And Sami was going to lash out with Trick, but didn't. Found his way back in the ring. But thanks to the distraction, Aleister Black hit a beautiful Black Mass that actually clocked Sami right on the jaw and got the win. And I'm happy, because you know what that means? Aleister Black has now beaten Randy Orton. He's now beaten Sami Zayn, and clean. Yes, there was distractions, but basically clean. And if people want to say, oh, they're just, you know, they got rid of Karrion Kross and just gave Karrion Kross's gimmick to Aleister Black, well, what they failed to do with Karrion Kross was give him a big win. They've given Aleister Black 2 now. Do you know what I mean? That guy's likely probably going to be in some sort of something at Mania. He's got to be, right? And I just kind of maybe think the direction for Mania is Sami and Trick. Whatever, you know, just to get them both on Mania. It is what it is. I'm sure they'll cook, and I'm sure it'll be a nice way to put Trick Williams over. But let's address the main thing of the night. Randy Orton, right, came out to cut his promo, and he says, you know, he wasn't exactly heel, you know, like he turned heel on Cody, but we all knew the crowd was still going to chant for him. But he came out and he said, look, I enjoy being the nice guy. I enjoyed, you know, coming out here and signing your autographs, taking your pictures. I enjoy all you singing my theme tune. But at some point, I need to think about my legacy, and all that wasn't helping me win. And my legacy isn't going to be all you fans screaming my name. It isn't going to be me signing autographs and taking pictures. It's going to be numbers. It's going to be with championships. It's going to be with the 15th World Championship. Randy Orton needs to be successful, and that's exactly why he did what he did. And he's still questioning himself, because when he's gone backstage and a couple of people are calling him out on it, like Jelly Roll, he's like, look, I'm sorry, mate, I'm sorry. And Matt Cardona, who he then decked for it. So later on, he went out to the ring again for the second time and wanted to issue an apology to Matt Cardona. So Matt Cardona came out, they apologised, they hugged, and then Randy did it all again. The voices got in his head and he snapped. Low blowed Matt Cardona, beat him up, and then was going to do the same thing with the steps in the chair that he did to Cody, and then everyone got in the way and stopped him. So thankfully he didn't do it to Matt Cardona. But I like that they're using Matt Cardona, because he came back, had a stare off with Cody, and never got nothing from him, and we kind of thought, ah, shit, he's just going to be like a mid-card jobber, like they're not really going to use him, do you know what I mean? But like the fact they're getting him involved with Randy and Cody, and he might not play a major role, but it just means that there's big match potential. You know, it's no secret Matt Cardona's like, he's not necessarily going to be in his prime anymore. Like he's probably not going to win a world championship. I'll be real, but it would be nice now that he's back in WWE to give him at least something interesting. Do you know what I mean? Because he ran away. Well, he didn't run away, but he left WWE because he was never really utilized like that. You know. And he rebuilt himself on the indies, and he's been everywhere. He's been AEW, been TNA. Like, to finally come back to WWE and not be used is insulting. So I think the fact that they might probably use him for something, he might have a match with Randy Orton, that's pretty cool, and I'm quite happy to do that. What else is there to talk about? Everything's gone out my mind. I've gone blank. Well, let's talk about Jelly Roll, because I'm excited about Jelly Roll being here. I've famously said Jelly Roll is the best celebrity wrestler. Fight me over it. Why? Not because of the in-ring quality. Bad Bunny's cool, Logan Paul's cool, but Jelly Roll gets this business. And yeah, Logan Paul gets this business now after he's been around it for quite a few years and has been trained. Jelly Roll got it from the start, man. You can tell this guy actually likes and cares for this business, because every second he gets, he tries to deliver a 10 out of 10 promo. He tries to add to the story, and he's there as a fan, not as a performer. So he fully gets, like, I want to do what's best for the story. I want to do what's best for the business, and that's why he put up to lose his first wrestling match, and he didn't achieve much offense, because he's not supposed to look good against the professionals, and he gets that. But he's so goddamn good on the mic. And we knew that Kit Wilson was going to call him out tonight. So here he came, Kit Wilson down in the ring, who got a few tips from Miz backstage. And then they both got annoyed by Danhausen. And then called out Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll immediately stormed his way down the ring. I will say, Jelly Roll is still kind of green, right? No secret. So, like, he's very quick to react. Like, he somewhat overreacts, but it's fine. You can't expect him to be perfect. He's not actually trained in this, do you know what I mean? Like, he's only appeared, like, 3 times? So, fair enough. But he keeps storming right down. And that's when Jelly assumed, like, oh, you want to fight? Let's fight. Let's get a referee. And we thought, oh, shit, here we go. We're going to get a match on SmackDown. And then it was Kit Wilson saying, no, that's toxic. We don't fight with our fists. We fight with slam poetry. And that's when Jelly was like, are you telling me you want a rap battle? Now, a lot of people out there, right? Because I knew Jelly Roll before he was famous. Now, I'm not going to pretend to be that guy that, I was a fan before he was famous, because I wasn't. I just knew who he was, because he did a song with someone I liked, and I knew who he was. And then he was a rapper. And then a couple of years later, I seen this guy, Jelly Roll, who was on this rap song that I listened to, who blew up and became this amazing, famous ass singer. And he did collabs with everyone, like Joyner Lucas, Eminem, fucking MGK, Post Malone. And he's singing all the time. And I feel like a lot of people forget that. And I feel like a lot of people forget that Jelly Roll is a rapper first. He was a rapper first. He's an incredible singer. And he's a singer now, but he was a rapper first. Jelly Roll can rap. So when Kit Wilson delivered them bars, which, to be fair, were good bars. And I like that they put poetry and rap together, because they're the same fucking thing. And a good rapper is a good poet. Just saying. Kit Wilson had some very good lines. And, yeah, Jelly Roll obviously schooled him back. That was a fun segment. I can imagine Jelly Roll probably did that off the dome, or probably like didn't need to like rehearse that really. That was probably one of the most entertaining segments on SmackDown. I'm so excited for Jelly Roll to get in the ring, and I'm pretty sure, well, after Kit Wilson beat him up, I'm pretty sure Jelly Roll's going to get Kit Wilson next week on SmackDown, which is amazing. And then we're probably going to get Jelly Roll and The Miz at Mania. and I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I don't know if they're going to have him. I think the better option would be to have Kit Wilson beat Jelly Roll next week. Jelly Roll will be like, oh, I can't win because obviously all these wrestlers are better than me, and then finally get his win at Mania by beating The Miz. Do you know what I mean? And that would A, push Kit Wilson, who's currently getting, who's currently on a bit of a rise, and it would add to the storyline of The Miz being the mentor, or well, the wannabe mentor who actually doesn't actually achieve anything, and that would make sense at Mania when Jelly Roll beats him. So I'm fully excited for that. Now, should we get into some frustrating things? So out came Damian Priest and R-Truth, who won that Gauntlet match, who I was afraid were going to challenge for the titles at Mania. No, they challenged on SmackDown. I was quite happy about that one. And then MFTs came out, and this was to defend the WWE Tag Team titles. It was Tama Tonga and JC Mateo that just passed the tag belts around to all five of them. They don't really give a shit, right? And then Wyatt Six at some point in the match got involved and started beating up MFTs and cost them the match. Yeah, you heard me right. Cost them the match. Damian Priest and R-Truth are WWE, I was going to say SmackDown, are WWE Tag Team Champions. It just pisses me off. I love Damian Priest. I love R-Truth for two different reasons. Damian Priest is an incredible performer and wrestler. R-Truth's an incredible character, right? But I just think it's a bit insulting to the talent in the tag team division and the fans who invest in your storylines. When last year we had such an incredible tag team division, and now we have Motor City Machine Guns who are about to fall apart, Fraxium, MFTs, Wyatt Six, MFTs and Wyatt Six who can't leave each other alone, and then you've just made a random team with Damian and R-Truth just because you're not really using them. So you're like, nah, fuck it, we'll put it as a tag team, and then put the tag belts on them. Like, oh, come on, we could do so much better. Like, why is it that more tag teams who are just slapped together for the sake of it win tag team belts than actual tag teams? It makes no sense, but whatever. It's going to be fun for a couple of weeks. They might even drop the belts at Mania. Highly doubt it. If they're tag team champions for like 6 months, I'm going to be pissed off, right? It worked with AJ Styles and Dragon Lee because they had good in-ring chemistry. Do you know what I mean? Like, that they put on bangers. But like, is Damian and R-Truth going to do that? I doubt it. They're two completely different styles, and R-Truth can't go like that no more. I'm sorry, he can't. But I suppose it was some way to kind of spice up the MFT Wyatt Six feud. So, fair enough. And then, backstage, Solo Squad was kicking off with them, blaming them, saying, you lost us these tag team titles, even though the Wyatt Six got involved. And I'm like, look, that was the Wyatt's fault. And Solo's like, no, your fault. That's when Tama Tonga kind of confronted Solo a bit, and he said, mate, something's happening with you. Give the lantern back, because it's giving you too much power. You're starting to sound like Roman. Which is bad for Solo, because he always wanted to be better than Roman. He always thought he was worthy of being the real tribal chief. But it's kind of interesting that they reference Roman, because Roman told all the Anoa'i family and all the Samoans to go after CM Punk, or the MFT is going to start going after CM Punk. That would be something quite interesting. But what else is interesting is that there's a bit of a divide here in the MFTs. Is it going to be Solo kicking out? Because we all thought it was going to be Tama Tonga, because he wanted to go solo and win that United States title. And I mean, Solo and the MFTs were focused on the tag team titles. But now Solo's shown a bit of bad leadership, and they're kind of like disappointed with him. Is Tama Tonga going to become the new guy in the MFTs? Is he going to kick Solo out? Or are they all just going to go separate? God knows what's actually going to happen. But Solo Squad having that lantern, thinking he's getting to the Wyatt Six, and then the Wyatt Six use their powers of mind games and divide MFTs in order to conquer them and get back their lantern. That would be a good revenge plan, in my opinion. I think that's a pretty decent story. They're doing something to spice it up. I know we're all tired of it because it's been happening for about 6 months now, but at least they're trying. Do you know what I mean? There's certain feuds to rush, there's certain ones that drag out way too long. You just got to like it or lump it. And we had quite a few tag team matches. This is what I didn't miss from the last time we had 3-hour-long SmackDowns, was that it was just tag team match after tag team match after tag team match. And I'm praying they're not going to stick to this, but, the women's tag team titles are over on SmackDown, and they actually defend tag team titles over on SmackDown. We actually have tag team matches on SmackDown. But Motor City Machine Guns had that match against Fraxium that they tried to hype up last week. That got no hype. And right before the match, Danhausen tried to help Candice LeRae Well, Candice LeRae asked Danhausen to try and help Johnny Gargano get back to normal, and instead he just robbed $20 from them. And then Alex Shelley showed a bit of concern. Chris Sabin was not having it. He's like, no, let's go to our match. And it was in the match when Candice LeRae got involved, punched, I think it was Nathan Fraser in the face, and Chris Sabin got the roll up. He thought he just rolled up Nathan Fraser and got the win like that, but Alex Shelley saw everything that happened, and it was thanks to Candice LeRae that Motor City Machine Guns got the win. This is going to draw a divide between Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, because Shelley wants to help Candice because he's a good friend of Johnny, and Chris Sabin doesn't want Alex getting involved with Candice and Johnny because he wants them focused on the tag team titles. So Alex is obviously going to show appreciation to Candice for this. Chris is not going to like that. Alex is going to tell Chris that he should credit them for their victory. Chris is not going to like that because he thinks he did the work. And we might get a divide in the Motor City Machine Guns. Even better, we might get a story between Johnny and Alex, because maybe Alex might get a bit close to Candice. But that's just me saying it, you know. I think that's quite interesting. I think they're actually doing something interesting for Motor City Machine Guns for once. Like, the guys are like indie legends, and they've been here, over a year now, 2 years now, and they're finally doing an interesting storyline. For fuck's sake, why did it take you that long? Jesus Christ. And now the other tag team match that we need to talk about, which was the Bella Twins challenging for the women's tag team titles. And it was essentially the same as last week when Charlotte and Alexa challenged for the tag team titles. The Bellas got involved and caused a disqualification. This week it was Bliss and Flair causing a disqualification. So next week we've got Bliss and Flair against the Bella Twins. Just run the triple threat match at Mania, man. We all know what's happening. I'll be honest, I'm not fond of the Bella Twins. I said the Nickies. The Bella Twins winning the tag team titles. Let's not have them win the tag team titles. The in-ring quality is not good, right? And that's no disrespect to them. They've both been retired for a while. But putting the tag team titles on them for the sake that they're Hall of Famers, please leave it. You've already used that. Do you know what I mean? Let's actually think about the future here. Let's make something interesting. Let's not just slap the titles on the Bella Twins. Please. Because they're not even that entertaining. I'll be real. They had their era. They're not that entertaining. I couldn't care less. I'll be real. I'd rather Trish Stratus and Lita come back and win the tag team titles because they were actually better, which is mental because they were around before the Bella Twins. So how are they still better in ring than the Bellas? Beats me, but it is what it is. Is there anything else I need to talk about? Oh, yes, the United States Open Challenge. It wasn't open this week. Ilya Dragunov finally accepted the challenge. And, he overcame his demons a bit there. And I thought, for a second, I thought Ilya Dragunov was going to win the United States title because I kind of had a thought that they're not doing anything with Gunther because Ray is still a rumored to be out. He's not having the Brock or Oba match. And they don't just want to do some random shitty match for Gunther. So wouldn't it make sense if Ilya Dragunov won the United States title back after he's gained his confidence back to challenge Carmelo Hayes once again? And then he hosted an open challenge for WrestleMania and Gunther was the one to answer. And then we got that dream match again of Ilya Dragunov and Gunther for the United States title. It would put way more relevance on the US title and it would put heat on both men. And then Gunther could go over to SmackDown and have fresh feuds. That would be pretty interesting. But no, Carmelo Hayes retained. And I'm not mad about that because I love Carmelo Hayes. And to be honest, I still want Trick versus Carmelo at WrestleMania, but it's not going to happen. Not this year, anyway. And it was an absolute heat of a match. And genuinely, there were so many moments where, so many false finishes where I genuinely thought, Ilya was about to win. But yeah, I'm curious where they're going to go from here. What they're going to do with Ilya. Are they going to turn him heel? Is he going to go somewhere else? What they're going to do with Carmelo and the US title. Are they going to do something at Mania? I hope so. But they might not. But that's my opinions. Didn't even. Jade Cargill. Rhea Ripley came and cut another promo on it. So boring, shitty promo. Jade went to leave because Rhea asked her for a fight, and she was like, nah. And then out came Michin and B-Fab, who've been chasing down Jade for weeks and months and on about her attitude and all this, and they want to fight even though they can never fucking beat her. And Jade was spotted last week talking to B-Fab in the background, and this is the moment where Jade was stuck between Rhea, Jade, and Michin. And I thought B-Fab. I thought B-Fab was about to turn on Michin and align herself with Jade Cargill until Jade just turned around and both Michin and B-Fab were aligned with Jade Cargill. And as a power trio, they all beat up Rhea Ripley. Now, I know a lot of people are trying to clown on this because, what sense does this make, blah, blah, blah. And people are probably going to, make fun of it as best they can. But I don't mind it. because we've not got a lot of heel women on SmackDown, not on like the tag team division. We need more people in this division. Plus, what are they actually doing with Michin and B-Fab? Do you know what I mean? And they're not just going to keep having them feud with Jade Cargill just for them to lose and get destroyed. Do you know what I mean? So this gives a bit of an interesting twist to the story between Jade and Rhea, and might actually help Jade a bit as champion by having some people to bounce off of, you know. So I actually think it's quite interesting. Depends what they do with it, though. It could absolutely flatline, but you just don't know. And maybe this means Jade might retain at Mania, which wouldn't be a good thing, but it would be pretty sad to just start a faction just for her to lose the title straight away. But it is what it is. That's my opinions on SmackDown. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.